Welcome to Hormones and Handstands with Pippa Campbell and Victoria Woodhall, a functional hormone nutritionist and a beauty editor and yoga teacher's guide to acing the challenges of midlife.
Victoria, so excited to be talking to you again.
We are back.
We are back. And guess what? Well, you know this anyway, Victoria. We reached #1, our first episode of Hormones and Handstands. We reached #1 in the UK and fitness on Apple Podcasts. I'm so excited. And every single episode, I think, was in the charts, the top 15. So thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Oh, that was so exciting. We only did 6 episodes as well. And now we're back with season 2 for another 6 episodes. And it's 2026. I know. How did that happen? So, Pippa, I thought we could just have a quick look back at 2025 to see what stood out for us and which health habits we are taking into 2026. Do you want to kick off?
Yeah, well, 2025 it feels like it was a really long year for me because I thought that was the stage I went into the next stage of perimenopause. So I think we discussed on the last podcast, I was getting sort of regular periods. And I think in one episode, the second one, it was like my brain fog.
I remember, yeah, you couldn't.
We were talking about progesterone and that was it. My progesterone was sort of low. I was like, I can't function. Anyway,
I remember you couldn't get your words out.
and you remember after I went, oh my God, Victoria, was I okay? So then my periods went to more like every 4 months. So I went
Oh,
to that next stage of perimenopause and everything was going okay. And then when it got to about closer to the 4 months, actually before I got my period, then, actually that month was fine. But my estrogen was dropping for the first time. So having always been really estrogen dominant, unless I wasn't doing certain things like eating my broccoli sprouts and all the things we talked about in episode 1, my estrogen dropped, not that low, probably, almost into more normal range, but low for me. And I definitely felt that drop and I started getting feeling a little bit sweaty. And so I started on some progesterone. We were talking about, no, it didn't work for me and I wasn't using it. And I started on some progesterone troches and powder and topical.
What's the first thing you said? Troches? What's that?
Troche. So
Oh,
yeah, troche. So it's like it's like snuff. You stick it up. Actually, I was doing like 2. I'd stuck it like that.
oh, very attractive.
It's so going to bed like that. So honestly, my husband had got like my mask on, the troches up there. I mean, really attractive, of course. And it was brilliant, and it's been life changing. So alongside all the supplements I'm doing, it just really helped that piece of within a couple of weeks, then all those hot flashes and the heat just resolved. But I'd like to talk about this more in another episode because people would never associate taking progesterone with hot flashes. So this is something that is really important. And I went down a rabbit hole of loads of research and trying to understand more about progesterone because it isn't researched enough. So I joined a progesterone conspiracy group with some endocrinologists and pharmacists in the USA, which is great fun because all we talk about is progesterone. So we'll go into that into another episode. So that was very eventful for me in 2025. And I also found that was really impactful was increasing my creatine because we're told 5 grams, it's usually just like 1 scoop. And I found by increasing that, sometimes even to 20 grams a day, actually, has really, you can't see, but I've grown my muscles. I need to flash them. I'm quite proud of them.
Do you notice it in other ways, like brain function or anything like that? Sleep as well?
I haven't. No, I have to say. The only thing I'm really noticing is the muscle. It's not to say that it's not working with my brain. Look, we know that there are multiple benefits and very important for brain as well. We have very small study done on helping with Alzheimer's. So some of these are quite small studies. But honestly, I think the research on creatine is really robust for many things, not just muscle, but also the brain as well. And I think we're going to be seeing more and more great research coming out in 2026, I think. And what about you? What did you find impactful in 2025?
Well, speaking of muscle, we know muscle is the organ of longevity, and there is a sharp decline in our ability to lay down muscle in menopause. And I'm a few years ahead of you. And for the first time in my 25, 30 years of doing yoga, I've now started adding in weights because I can really feel that decline in muscle. Even though the type of yoga I do, it's a strong dynamic practice, is weight bearing and muscle building. But I've noticed my back getting a lot more clicky. So I'm doing weights to strengthen my back and also to pull my shoulders up, down and back, because hunching, driving, being a desk-based person for most of the time, it really is rounding my shoulders forward. So adding some strength into both my yoga practice, doing a lot more back strengthening work there. This kind of lat pull down maneuver that we do lying on our bellies when we're in a back bend to strengthen, but also adding weights as well. So weights has been one thing. And also I have changed my HRT. I have gone on to a new vagina vulva cream.
Now, I want to know all about your vagina.
Of course you do. Last year, I started vaginal estrogen, which helps with vaginal dryness, and it's the one you can get over the counter in the pharmacy. It's called Gina. I think there are a couple of others, but you go to the pharmacist and you can get it without a prescription. And it's estrogen pessary in the upper part of the vagina. Then I saw my gynaecologist, Dr Tania Adib, and she said, yes, that's all well and good, but lots of women tell her it doesn't really move the needle on the dryness in the lower part, which has estrogen and testosterone receptors. So the higher part of the vagina is mainly estrogen receptors. The lower part of the vagina has estrogen and testosterone receptors, and that's linked to hydration. So, women who find sex painful and are on vaginal estrogen, it may be because they're not treating the lower part of the vagina. So I have my estro and testo cream, which I apply every day to try and mitigate some of that dryness. And also that can support the bladder as well. If you get the kind of genitourinary symptoms of menopause, the kind of the leaks, some of it can be linked to dryness as well. So that has been proving.
You have got in that, is it, quite often they put estriol in those as well?
It says estrao 0.5, testo 0.5.
Yes.
That's all I know. Yeah, estradiol. Yep.
So sometimes they'll use a mix of estradiol and the estriol, and DHEA is also topically very useful in these creams as well. And exactly, you need to apply it to the vaginal lips. So
Yeah,
that's exactly
exactly.
where you're putting it, because as you said, the pessaries go up inside the vagina, but this cream is applied to the actual
The sort of lower and outer parts. Yeah, exactly. So there is one that you can get on the NHS called Intrarosa. It's a DHEA and it converts to estrogen and testosterone. It's quite hard to get. My doctor really wasn't sure about giving it to me, but the cream I have is available on private prescription, and my gynecologist prescribed it to me, having looked at my vagina and vulva and said, this is right for you.
Right, so she inspected your vagina and now you got that prescription. Actually, I have one, a vaginal beauty cream on my website now as well. So I know. I'm not at that stage. I don't need that one yet because I got sufficient estrogen. I'm taking a little bit of DHEA as well. But it really changes a woman's life. It can be absolutely game changer if sex is sore, or just even walking around. Women say they're sort of chafing. Their vaginal labia is just like chafing, and it's really sore and uncomfortable, so it makes the lips all juicy.
Exactly. Well, estrogen is the hormone that's responsible for water retention, isn't it? So not just juicy faces. Speaking of which, we were talking about women putting their HRT estrogen gel on their faces, which is a big fat no, isn't it?
Putting your estrogen cream on your face is a big, 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 big fat no. Absolute no. It is designed to go through the skin, and you put it on, as your patch, or you use it as your cream or gel. And the estrogen gels or creams that are used for the face are slightly different because they're designed to sit in the skin. So do not use, anyone listening, do not just slap on your usual estrogen gel or cream on your face.
And it's incredibly drying. I mean, if you've seen all that alcohol that it has to make it evaporate, you can get estrogen cream for your face. And my gynecologist does do it, although I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, be interested to try it. Well, actually, I am using it. Again, one we've got on the website now called a facial beauty serum, which has Mainly, the main ingredient is copper peptide, which I just loving for skin.
Mm.
Peptides are all the rage, and we can talk about those another time. So it's got copper peptide in, some hyaluronic acid, and a tiny bit of estriol and estradiol. So very, very small amount. And it's designed not to sort of penetrate further in the skin.
And peptides, copper peptide is brilliant for the longevity of your skin, for age proofing. It's a really great
I've
ingredient.
noticed such a difference since using it. So I've got me and my practitioners, we've been using it. And we're all like, oh my goodness, look, it's so good glowing. Literally, like one of my practitioners said after about a week, she had people saying, your skin is just glowing. So she was very,
Wow.
hmm.
Speaking of glowy skin, my other great find of recent months is the AHA peel by Labero. It's a brand that's new to the UK. It's one of the top sellers in the Netherlands. It's kind of SkinCeuticals-esque. It's at that level. And I met the founder and she said, this AHA peel is basically the foundation of your skincare, and it's great for sensitive skin too. You wouldn't think it. Yes, you can use it with your sensitive skin, Pippa. Um, and so I use it 3 times a week for 10 minutes and then wash it off. It's got enzymes and glycolic acid, and it just is a light but effective peel. And then everything you put on your skin afterwards is able to absorb better. And I've definitely noticed this kind of glowy sheen, which when your skin is 58 as mine is and dry, glow is really hard to come by. So my 3 times a week peel by Labero, the AHA peel. I'll put the links.
Yeah, can you put that? I'd like to try that. I'm not very good at those sort of maintenance sort of things 3 times a week, but I'll definitely give it a go. I'm better at things that I do every day. Labero, is it?
Yes, I will put the links in the caption. So what about else have I discovered? Oh, another exciting new menopause symptom to add to our list.
Oh no.
I've discovered I've got menopausal reflux. Well, I've got reflux, which is a very common symptom of menopause. And actually, you really helped me understand this, Pippa, because I wasn't having the kind of classic symptoms of heartburn and burping and all of that you associate with reflux, but I felt constantly like I had a low level cough, something was stuck in my throat, it was irritated. And so, yes, it is actually a reflux that just goes up as far as your kind of esophagus. It doesn't go all the way into the mouth.
Does yours fit here?
Yeah, it just, yeah, it's like something constantly stuck in your throat. So I have now been prescribed Gaviscon at night, which has a some kind of algae in that sort of puts a lid on your food or anything in your stomach at night to stop it popping up again. And it really helps. So I'm looking for some more natural alternatives to that, involving aloe vera and algae.
Well, I'm glad you've highlighted this because again, women never associate it with their hormones, but it is so much more common than you think in perimenopause. And you're right, I've had it a few times myself. It's like you feel like you've got something stuck in your throat. So it might be you're taking your supplements, and it's like you feel like they're there and they're not. It's just that like little lump in the throat. Sometimes it comes on more at night when you don't have any food to buffer that stomach acid. So it can rise up. So shouldn't really, but what happens is in perimenopause as well, the sort of it's like the doors, to the stomach, the esophagus, and it's like a sort of valve. I call it as like a door can weaken, and then acid which shouldn't be there gets that in the stomach. So
Yeah.
what things that I find really useful, aloe vera, marshmallow tea, which I think I love marshmallow tea anyway. It's nice to have between meals. And DGL licorice. So the licorice, you can get these lico chews and and that can help as well. Sometimes different things help for different women. And then also just working on improving digestion, because if you are not digesting your food very well, things are just going to be sitting in the stomach. So if your stomach acid is low, which is what's more common, especially if women are stressed, it takes a lot of energy to produce stomach acid. So if the stomach acid is low, then your food is just sitting there fermenting, and then it's backing up as well. So chewing your food 30 times or until mush. That's one of my 5 foundations. Chew, 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 chew. I know it's boring. Chew, 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 chew. So chew your food 30 times or until mush is really important. And then also, why not do some of your yoga nidra or to do your breathing before you sit down to eat as well? Because people are often eating, on the go and rushing around. So anything that can help digestion is really important. We do recommend taking my Pippa Campbell's sort of a digestive enzyme for some women. The aloe vera is lovely, and some women just like it anyway. That's like a soothing thing and can help with constipation. But you've got some basic things that you can try and do as well. But it's a really horrible thing, and a lot of women do suffer with it.
I was surprised how common it was. I had so many replies to my Instagram post about it that lots of women are suffering with it for years. But that it is treatable, which is the great thing I've discovered this year. And lastly, I've got really into chai this year. Where's my chai guys chai that I was going to show you? I've discovered this blend called masala chai spices. So chai, obviously the Indian drink, lots of Ayurvedic warming spices there, but the ready-made ones tend to be very sugary and sweet because tea is drunk quite sweet in that form normally, but these are just the spices. So it's masala, chai, spices. I take 2 teaspoons in black tea every morning, and it's got 5 spices in, things like cloves, cardamom, cinnamon. It's really warming, but if we struggle to improve the variety of plants in our diet, a drink like that can be really great, especially one you enjoy. So
I love spices, and you're right, they've got high antioxidant content. Cloves are really high antioxidant content. And so you can have it in black tea, and actually how Poppy, my daughter, loves it in just warmed up, was it just in a plant milk, and she just whizzes it up in her Nespresso frother thing and drinks it like that as well. So that's a really nice way of doing it.
nice.
She does a
Yeah.
little bit of honey or something. But
Oh,
it's so lovely, and it feels nurturing. It feels healthy, and it's delicious.
yeah. In winter, it feels really warming and nurturing. So those have been some of my discoveries. Oh, and lastly, my keratin. Honestly, keratin for my hair. I've discovered this treatment called Hair Sculpt. It is a bespoke modern form of keratin. Do you remember in the old days, it used to be all formaldehyde? Now that's banned, thank goodness. And
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever had it. So keratin is obviously the straightening treatment. And it used to be really hardcore, and you'd have to be treated in a separate room at the hairdresser's downstairs that was fully ventilated. I mean, these poor hairstylists were gassing themselves with formaldehyde.
These poor hairstylists were getting
I
every
know.
inhaling.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, it was banned, and then over many years, manufacturers tried to reformulate to produce something that was as effective at straightening your hair long term. I had one of these original keratin treatments, and honestly, my hair went canary yellow. It took out all the color. I looked a sight, honestly, and my hair went poker straight. So I had a canary bowl head. It was horrendous, and I just vowed never again. But my hairdresser, Gustave Fouché, persuaded me that now they can bespoke it so that you can do a stronger treatment in certain areas. So I have my frizzy bits at the front where I generally have to do a lot of styling because it's kind of, my hair's quite puby there.
I love that. You said your hair was puby.
Yeah, what? You get the kind of little short and curlies there that just won't grow any further. Um, Yeah, so he smooths those out for me. So I actually have to do less styling and pulling on the bits that naturally have more breakage anyway. So that's been great. More keratin here. He leaves my natural kind of wave around the middle and then puts a little bit of straightening in the end. So you can actually create a kind of quite a natural looking hairstyle that needs very little blow drying, very little maintenance, just behaves itself. I can go out in the street in a humid day and my hair doesn't poof up like the Hair Bear bunch.
Wow. So clever Gustav. I didn't know about all these sort of treatments. My hair's absolutely dead straight. So, I mean, I'm guessing it's not something I need to.
You would not need that,
It's
but
not puby. My hair's not at all puby. Not very.
no.
It's more like curtains.
Curtains or pubes, which one? Right. Well, those have been some of my discoveries of 2025. But what we're here to talk about, as it's January, as it's the new year, it's weight loss, isn't it?
It's the big month for weight loss because people, they may have been thinking about trying to lose weight for a whole year. And then they could say, oh, yeah, but then it's Christmas. And then. So now January is the big
Mm.
month for losing weight.
And I have to say, the conversation around weight loss has changed dramatically in the past 12 months with the advent of GLP-1s in the last 2 years, Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro. Now everybody is talking about it, and it's almost swung the other way when it wasn't really acceptable to talk about if you had issues with your weight. But in your clinic, it's one of the most frequently asked questions, especially at this time of year. So what are you seeing?
It is, but you're right, Victoria. It's actually sort of so annoying how sort of in some way how trends go because when I first, started my practice, weight loss was, a huge part of my business because that's what women wanted. They weren't happy with their weight. They weren't feeling confident. They didn't want to get into a swimming costume on holiday. It got them down. They weren't even going into the gym. They were embarrassed to sort of get into sort of gym clothes and things. They were quite frankly feeling really low about it. And we could talk about it then. It was in the press, as a journalist, you could talk about it then. And then suddenly there was this wave of a woman should be happy with their weight. We can't talk about it. Oversized was praised in, the press. Now, I wasn't looking at the size. What I'd be thinking about as well is what about when somebody is hugely overweight? What are the health impacts there? So I'd be thinking out, oh my goodness, what about their insulin markers? What about, long-term disease? And I think that then wasn't really talked about, which is so important. It's not just the actual weight itself, but what that could mean for a woman's health. So then it was then not fashionable to talk about it at all. And, funny enough, when I brought out the first book, Eat Right, Lose Weight, even though it sold really, really well, the press didn't want to talk about it. They were like scared. Oh, it was really frustrating. And then, yes, now the wave of all the weight loss jabs, then people are talking about it again, but not talking about what's now seen to be the old fashioned way. So my book is the old fashioned way. I based it on what I saw women were suffering with in clinic. So they would come to me with weight loss and they'd say they'd tried everything, but I'd have to understand the root cause of their weight loss because it's all very well just, slapping on a pill or something like that. But why? Why? I mean, that's me. I always want to know why. Why can't this woman lose weight? So
Mm.
I then developed these 7 metabolic types. So that's why at the beginning of the book, they do the quiz to find out their metabolic type. So is it that they got insulin problem, low thyroid, digestion, detox, estrogen, for example, one of the 7 types. And then I found that by addressing those health issues, then they could lose weight. So that's how it came about.
So weight loss then becomes a health gain issue. I remember when this book came out because I really enjoyed the quiz at the beginning, and I am well, I predicted I would be, and I was. I was the cortisol type. So n- I don't struggle with my weight, but I struggle with cortisol issues. So there's tons in there for me about eating right to support my cortisol imbalance that I clearly had. Yeah.
Yes, anyway. So I would find, for example, a client might come to me saying that they had uncontrollable smelly farts, for example. They would literally be wafting the bed at night. Actually, not wafting because then the
Dutch oven. My kids call that Dutch ovening.
oh, my son did that to me once. It's so awful in the car in a hot day. He closed all the windows and farted. I was so cross. Woo, woo, woo. So we're talking about smelly wind, might be constipation, itchy bottom,
Mm.
itchy bottom hole.
Is itchy bum hole really common?
It's more common than you think, and men can get it too. So itchy bottom, along with sometimes vaginal thrush, can be a sign of candida.
Oh.
That's an overgrowth of yeast. So,
My dad always said that he got an itchy bottom when he ate loads of cheese.
oh, well, that's interesting. So more of a fermented thing. Well, so that again can be feeding candida, which sugar is normally like that's one of the worst things. But yes, fermented things, anything fermented can cause trouble as well. But so these signs and symptoms of digestive imbalance. So there's somebody saying they want to lose weight, and they're like going, Pippa, why are you talking about the weight loss? Well, why do you keep going on about my farts and my itchy bottom? And it's just like, well, hang on a minute, I came here because I wanted to lose weight. And I explained that we needed to get to the root cause of why they couldn't lose weight, and resolve these digestion issues and gut issues, and then they could lose weight. And then they could. So they were like, huh, now I get it. So that's these metabolic types came out about, these different imbalances. So for example, low thyroid. So low thyroid is often associated with inability to lose weight, or they might go away, a woman might go away for a weekend and eat, not even eat that crazy, and then they put on 4 pounds. So that's definitely a low thyroid symptom. But then on top of that could be cold hands and feet, loss about a third of eyebrow, might be constipation. But what some people don't associate with, say, low thyroid is also this woman might be struggling with low libido. And everyone's always saying that's to do with testosterone. Actually, it can be low thyroid as well. And I would sort of say to them, so I'll be going through all the sort of signs and symptoms. Okay, let's talk about this low libido. And they'd say, I just don't, just don't feel like having sex with my husband. So I would have to try and establish, well, do you still fancy your husband? Is it the problem that you don't fancy your husband anymore? Or is it that you just don't fancy anyone? So then I would say, okay, so which actor do you fancy? And they might say something like, oh, Pitt, he's quite sexy. I'd say, okay, so if Brad Pitt came into a room and grabbed you for a, quickie in the corner, would you say no? Oh, God, I'd love that. Okay, right. Okay, so then is it your husband? Is it low libido? Or they might say, oh, no, I still couldn't be bothered with that. So they definitely have a low libido problem. They just couldn't be bothered. So it's not all about testosterone, that'd be low thyroid. So there are all these different signs and symptoms, and that's by doing the metabolic quiz, then you can work out sort of which type you are.
So the quiz is in the book. So just remind us, what are these 7 metabolic types? I'm just going to consult my copy of your book, which I found I've marked things in the margin and folded over pages.
You're going to text me now, the real
No, I'm going to write. They are the digestion type, insulin type, cortisol type, the detox type. Oh, I actually thought I might be that. The thyroid type, estrogen type, and serotonin type. That's all of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, detox type. What's that about?
Well, if you're not detoxing, the liver is the main organ of detoxification. Now, there are other organs involved, but the liver is the main one. If you are not detoxing very well through the liver and then sugar through the gut as well, then you are literally holding on to those toxins. And they could be environmental toxins, so external toxins, or just the toxins that your own body makes as well. Just your mitochondria, for example, those are the powerhouse of your cell. They'll produce free radicals like compound that you want to get rid of. So there's internal detoxing, external things coming that you need to detox, pesticides.
And we're detoxing our estrogen as well, which we talked about.
So detox and estrogen type really overlap. You're generally going to get some things that overlap there. And those toxins can also sit in fat cells. Okay, so they're usually fat soluble, a lot of them, and they sit in fat cells. So actually, sometimes the detox type, if they lose weight too quickly, like very quickly, can feel so bad. So the detox type who loses weight too quickly could be headachy, feel like flu-like symptoms, but those toxins are circulating really quickly before they can get rid of them, which is why I'm against this rapid, weight loss and sort of fatty type diets. But by supporting the liver and supporting detoxification with certain nutrients, trying to limit the load of those environmental toxins. When I say limit, we can't avoid, but limit. That means that then your body feels safe. It's not storing those toxins, and you can lose weight much easier. So that's the detox type, which I think we all need to support detoxification. But the detox type is particularly bad at detoxing. It's often genetic, or it might be that they're exposed to an excessive load, or their diet, then the nutrients in their food. So they're not eating things like enough green leafy vegetables, might be eating turmeric, for example. They're not eating enough berries and antioxidants, enough protein to support those amino acids that we need. So I would say it's more about they might not be eating enough of the goodies, the good stuff.
And for me, being a cortisol type, having a stable blood sugar is really important, isn't it?
It goes really hand in hand. High cortisol and high blood sugar, but then you could get the swings of the cortisol and you could go from high to low. So it might be, for example, I find women in particularly in this stage of life, so in midlife, that the cortisol type should not avoid breakfast. You need the protein in to support that, regulation of blood sugar. That's so important, and to help, with that cortisol as well. So protein at breakfast is so important, and not leaving it too long. So I am against, well, for most women, I don't think at our age, they should be doing this long-term intermittent fasting, but the cortisol type, no, 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 no. Cortisol type, do not do long intermittent fasting. Do not do all this cold plunging and ice baths. That's just too much for you.
Mhm. Yeah, I do find, and even like HIIT training, I do find being a cortisol type, meaning my cortisol spikes in the morning and stays high. So my challenge is to do stuff to bring it down to a normal level. Everyone's cortisol spikes in the morning. That's what gets you out of bed, gives you your get up and go, but it should not stay high. So basically avoiding stressors. But I've actually, yeah, so cryo therapy. Everybody loves that ice bath. I don't like a cold shower, but I've actually discovered this thing called contrast cryo, which I am really loving. It's 1 minute of warm, followed by 3 minutes of it actually goes to minus 196 degrees C, which is colder than I've ever tried, but it's dry cryo. I don't like these overwhelming cryo chambers where you walk in and there's like a mist and it feels quite claustrophobic. But this, you stick your head out the top, and because it's like a um, dry cold, you don't feel the intensity of that cold so much, but it does get your circulation going. But I don't feel stressed when I've come out because I've had a minute of relaxation in there already. So that's been a game changer for me, accessing the circulation benefits of cryotherapy without the stress.
Yeah, there are different things. I think the cortisol type has to be careful because sometimes they say, oh, they'll feel better if they're doing things like the cold therapy, but it might be short-lived. And also, I think it's the adrenaline. So we know that, say, intermittent fasting, adrenaline increases, and these cold shocks as well, adrenaline increases. And for some women, that gives them an extra bit of a buzz, and they like that because they feel energetic when they have that adrenaline. Doesn't mean it's right. And I also find women in midlife, they have very dysregulated adrenaline. Everyone's talking about cortisol, but it works very closely with adrenaline. And I think when your cortisol and blood sugar is dysregulated, adrenaline comes in. That's the one that comes in like literally within seconds. So
Yeah, you can feel it in your stomach, in your kidneys, can't you? Going,
literally, what? You can just feel that adrenaline. It might be rushing to the loo, or it might be sudden pain in the chest, in the chest, the upper stomach. So you can feel that adrenaline straight away. We are much more sensitive to adrenaline in midlife, and we are not as good at regulating it. So I think this is really important because women, when their progesterone is dropping, and there's less support for that GABA, which is the calming neurotransmitter. They can't calm that adrenaline down. They used to be able to get away with it maybe in their 20s. Look, I'm a bad adrenaline person, so my adrenaline genes are shocking. I am very sensitive to adrenaline. I'm like, it's double red. It's like the worst. And I don't methylate. I don't detox my adrenaline very well. So I literally am on my B vitamins, my magnesium, betaine. I do a lot to support the detoxification or methylation of my adrenaline. And the progesterone together has helped as well, but I have to support this adrenaline. So I think that's really important we can't run on adrenaline. You're feeling that wired. That's just not helpful at all at our age.
hmm. And speaking of supplements, I've also seen, as a journalist writing about all the latest trends, a boom in metabolism supplements. And these are being positioned as well, if you don't want to go on GLP-1s, or if you come off GLP-1s, how can you support the function of your metabolism so you don't put on weight? What's your thoughts on those?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's not a magic bullet. I just don't think none of these things are a magic bullet. But I do think if they support the body system that's in balance. So why? What's in them? So my MetaBoost supplement is my second best selling supplement. You can see in the reviews that people say it works. Well, why? So there's iodine and selenium in there and zinc that supports low thyroid. So there's the thyroid type. There's chromium and manganese, which is very effective for regulating insulin. Cayenne pepper is really good. It's involved with that. It's that thermogenesis and that weight loss. So that's very important as well. So there are some really good ingredients, but I think lots of people have jumped on the bandwagon and are throwing in all sorts of things, and women are spending money on things that perhaps don't work. So yes, it is a little bit concerning. But I think it's, understanding why you're taking that supplement, and also it doesn't outdo an unhealthy diet and
Yeah.
lifestyle. Because I think, we were talking about you as the cortisol type. You've mentioned before, and in the last, in season 1, you mentioned how it's really helped you as the cortisol type in terms of stress. So yoga nidra
Mm.
would be something the cortisol type is like hands down. You got to do it.
Managing stress, absolutely. So I think what we've learned from we're talking about weight loss, but especially for the midlife woman who has got lots of hormonal issues, lots of sort of habits and patterns that we've all brought to our life stage right now. It is very complicated and no one size fits all. So you can have some people who struggle with their weight, some people who don't, and some people who just look at a cake and put on a pound. Uh, but so I think what we're saying is try to find out what's causing your weight gain if it is something that worries you. But even so, I think looking at the different metabolic types in your book will give you an insight into what sorts of foods will make you feel good. And we know that feeling good is um, all part of a weight loss journey. It switches you in from disliking your body and what you see in the mirror to liking what you see, even if your weight may not have changed. And people often ask me about yoga. So, as a yoga teacher, what yoga can I do for weight loss? I'm always asked this at this time of year. And there aren't poses for weight loss, though. They just don't exist. But what yoga can help you do, in that it's a mind body practice, it can help lighten the weight of the mind because actually, what's weighing heavily on you um, that is making you feel bad, it can help you look at yourself inside a little bit more and just address some of those other things that are going on that may be behaviors that are causing the weight gain. Having said that, yoga is brilliant for we do a lot of muscle building, lots of weight bearing. So we know muscle, as I said, is the organ of longevity. It builds, it burns calories at rest. And yoga can give you a greater functional range of movements. So you can do more of what you love, the activities that you love. You can do them pain free. You can do other types of exercise that maybe would have been inaccessible if you had a bad back, for example. So, in that sense, it's part of a sort of holistic way of looking at weight loss. And there are breath techniques too. You can really fire up your breath with that breath of fire that's pumping the navel back. It's a very energizing breath. So if you're stressed already, I wouldn't do it if you're stressed already, but if you need to wake yourself up, it's like a shot of caffeine. And it can sort of get the internal organs energized and moving. And there are other poses, such as lying on your back, soles of feet together, knees apart. It's called Supta Baddha Konasana, that literally just give your internal organs, your digestive organs, space to do their job properly. And just even lying down on your back, soles of feet together, knees apart, you can put some cushions under your knees, lie there, do some deep breathing. That can radically improve all what's going on in your digestion.
I feel actually quite calm just listening to you talk now. I mean, the thing is that's going to help all the metabolic types. You were talking about digestion there, it's helping digestion. The serotonin
Mm.
type, if it's helping with mood, then they're less likely to crave those starchy carbs to give them that serotonin because they'll be helping their bodies to make it naturally. So
Mm.
I love that.
Yeah, so cortisol types like me, we typically have a crash in the afternoon when we go and we want something sweet. But actually, what we are is tired and what we need is rest. So, having a drink of water, hydrating, maybe a piece of fruit if you want something sweet and a couple of nuts, but then rest. Just take 10 minutes, lie on your back if you can, if you're in a place where you can do that, or just go and sit on the loo. Let's hope no one's Dutch ovening next door.
Go and hide.
Yeah.
It's so useful, really useful.
So, Pippa, whatever your starting point, whether you want to lose weight or just get into healthier habits, what are a few key steps we can all take today?
The easiest thing to start with, especially if you are feeling overwhelmed, is my Pippa Campbell method 5 foundations. So the 5 foundations are: eat 2 bites of protein at the start of each meal. That helps with satiety, particularly good for weight loss. Drink 2 liters of water at least every day, helps with constipation, gets rid of those toxins. Chew each mouthful 30 times or until it's mush. Take the vegetable challenge. So that's where you rotate your vegetables. You're not eating the same ones every day. And then lastly, leave 4 to 5 hours between each meal because that helps reduce those insulin spikes, helps the digestive system, and make sure that you're not just spiking that blood sugar in between meals.
And that means no snacking too, doesn't it? Because you've got to have this gastric emptying.
4 to 5 hours means no snacking. So just 3 meals a day.
Fantastic.
I think all of these things are just it. Women might sort of feel, oh, I just feel a little bit overwhelmed. But I think that's on my book. I talk about with each metabolic type, what's the one thing you can do today? So
Yeah.
without sort of necessarily, you don't have to go gung ho. I talk about cold turkey Caroline or moderation Mary, or is it Mandy? I can't remember. I talk
Yes.
Mandy and Mary all the time. However, it doesn't matter whether you're cold turkey Caroline or moderation Mary. The fact is acknowledging who you are and how you want to do it low and slow, or you go full on into it. But just be careful, cold turkey Caroline, because cold turkey Carolines can sometimes set themselves up to fail because they like go all in and then can't sustain it. So
Mm.
yeah, whoever
Yeah.
you are out there, it doesn't matter. But these are all hopefully really useful tips for everyone. And of course, we haven't talked about weight loss jabs, but we're going to, aren't we?
They are a huge conversation. I think everyone knows someone who is on them. I've known people who are having a really great experience. I know people who are microdosing. I know people who've lost several stone. I know people who've come off them, and all different experiences. And of course, we've got the pill coming this year, haven't we?
Yeah.
The GLP-1 pill. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays into the conversation.
Let's talk about that in the next episode because I think that's going to be a really interesting topic. And let's talk about, how people can, what our experiences, people that the client experiences we have, and also how people should eat if they are taking the jabs as well. So I think we should go into that next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comments below, or please contact us on social and we'll try to answer them here on the podcast.
And thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode of Hormones and Handstands, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you love this episode, please do leave us a review. You can also find us on Instagram at Hormones and Handstands for behind-the-scenes content, sneak peeks, and to let us know what you want to hear more about. See you for another one next week.